4 years of internet friendship.
Yeah.
One Instagram live later. We are here shooting a
This is
podcast.
crazy.
Yes. Took
Yeah.
time, but we got
Took
there.
time. Thank you for flying out from Bombay, taking out the time for this. How's it going, sir? क्या चल
Very
रहा है?
good, man. Very good. Internet has been interesting, exciting these days. Real life or internet life को कैसे balance करना है?
Yeah.
That is what I think we are all trying to figure out.
I think you've done a great job at that in the last few years, and it's something that I wanted to talk to you about. That you lie in this very rare intersection of being a professional in the world. By that I mean a doctor, professional on the internet by being a content creator, and you do both of those things. As far as I understand, you have a practice which you just started. I would love to know more about that. Also, you've been a content creator for the longest time. How's it been, yaar? How is it juggling these two worlds?
Actually, उतना फर्क नहीं है दोनों में because I have been a doctor since 10 years now. Right? Like I started seeing my patients in 2015. That's when I finished my MD medicine. तो पिछले 10 साल से पेशेंट्स को तो देख रहा हूँ, पेशेंट्स को समझा रहा हूँ what is happening with their body, what is happening in the brain. And for me, content creation was an extension of that because internet में भी मैं वही चीज़ बता रहा हूँ, सिर्फ थोड़ा और diluted, थोड़ा और for the lay person. And I've always liked teaching. तो मेरे लिए वो उतना फ़र्क नहीं था. I'm not doing dance reels because I can't dance. But for me, it was an extension of what I do. तो मेरे लिए उतना conflict नहीं लगा. In fact, it was very synergistic because the more content I make, I think I'm getting better at explaining things. So when I'm going back into my OPD, मैं clinic में patients को समझा रहा हूँ, I find myself explaining things in a better way. Making people laugh more, making people feel more comfortable. So that has been a very interesting journey for me.
I would imagine जब कोई professional like yourself or maybe a lawyer or maybe an engineer who's into structural engineering and does buildings, they want to create content. Okay? Because you guys know so much about that field, it's very easy for me to come and say like, oh guys, dopamine को कम करो, है ना? Because I don't know shit, I'm a dumb guy, right? For you to
I mean, you're not, but I love the vibe when you're sitting.
मैं इस पूरे पॉडकास्ट आई थिंक I am where the IQ starts. For you to say a blanket statement like that, I think तुम अपने दिमाग में बड़ी एक वॉर चल रही होगी यार, but I can't say that because dopamine serves these purposes and like that's a very important reward mechanism for us to achieve anything, and like all this is happening in our brain. So how do you approach social media content while being true to your profession?
Yeah, that's the reason why I think I got into YouTube. Simple सी बात है, तुम 60 सेकंड में इतना ही बता सकते हो और कैप्शन कोई पढ़ता नहीं है.
हाँ, जैसे आपने बोला था, lot more cautions you give and the lesser views you get.
Correct, exactly. तो मैं जितना clauses add करते जाऊंगा कि अच्छा, but by the way, in this particular context, it's different. So then people will lose interest because they want bite-sized information. Like this is good, this is bad, khatam, end of story. Whereas on YouTube, the same person who on Instagram is scrolling fast, as soon as they switch on YouTube, I think mind में कुछ तो shift हो जाता है. They are more willing to sit and watch an 8-minute video.
100%.
Right? So I find that even for me, Instagram में I want something quicker, but on YouTube, I've settled in. कि चलो, अच्छा, tell me आराम से. Whereas if I'm listening to a 2-hour podcast, I'm even more committed. Now I just want to keep listening to it. So the platform matters. So for someone like me, I think YouTube has been much more rewarding because I just want some more time with my listener. कि मुझे जो समझाना है, let me explain it properly. So any field, whether it's structural engineering or any field which has more nuance, I think should be on a longer platform.
But for Instagram specifically, there is an inherent fear कि it might be misinterpreted or perceived in a way that you don't intend it to.
Dude, Instagram is for entertainment. It always was. It always will be. बाकी सब कुछ गलती से होता है. Like education happens by accident, news happens by accident, fake news is also entertaining. A doctor is also entertaining on Instagram. All the rest of it is happening by accident. Right? Instagram is designed for entertainment, so you should not try to pretend it to be anything else. as a professional, it is your responsibility to not entertain with a lie.
Very important, yes.
Right? That is your personal responsibility, but it is not on the audience, it's not on the platform. That is the job of the creator, the content creator, to put out what they know to be the truth. But end of the day, people are on Instagram for entertainment. I don't think they're there to learn.
But it's also a caution for people that there are and there can be people who are entertaining with a lie also.
Yeah.
So entertainment should not be
तो बर
perceived
रखा है
as...
ना यार इंस्टाग्राम पे आई थिंक एक कोई टॉपिक चल पड़ता है उसका जो मोस्ट नेगेटिव और मोस्ट लाइक ऐसे झुंझला देने वाला version is the one that gets viral. I
For
think
example,
that's
everyone like I know believes they have ADHD because of the internet reels.
Right.
Yeah, that's true.
Right. And
That's true.
ADHD का the problem is कि when you read through the symptoms, अगर आपने diagnostic criteria में पढ़ लिया, bro, these are things that all of us have experienced at some points, right? तो वो जो nuance है वो निकल जाता है. Who amongst us has not been distracted or been like unable to focus for 5 minutes? कभी कभी हो जाता है. And if you suddenly read it, you will feel कि अरे ये तो मेरे मुझे भी है. In fact, what earlier used to be only medical students का journey is now for everybody. Every single medical student while going through MBBS, उनका forensic medicine में या psychology में एक chapter होता है defense mechanism. They read through it and every defense mechanism you read, you're like, अरे ये तो मेरा है. मैं तो ये करता हूँ. It is normal. All of these psychiatric issues is on a spectrum. सबको सब हुआ है कभी ना कभी. The turning point when it becomes a disease is when it crosses a limit जहाँ पे तुम्हारा functionality affect होता है. But if you're functional, if you're able to go through life properly, having these small episodes does not make it a disease. But ये nuance Instagram में तुम कैसे बताओगे?
दे ही नहीं सकते.
Time ही नहीं है.
That's crazy. That's a very, I think that's a very beautiful put line ki turns into a disease when functionality is being compromised. Is that where someone should seek help, or is it before that someone should seek help, which comes into something we talked about preventive health?
Yeah.
So can you talk about that a little bit?
Dude, this is such a nuanced topic, right? हमारा इंस्टिंक्ट है कि गाड़ी जब तक चल रही है तब तक चल ले.
चलाओ जब तक इंजन खराब नहीं होता.
हाँ, करेक्ट. बट इंटरेस्टिंगली गाड़ी के साथ हम लोग ज़्यादा केयर रखते हैं. साल में 2 बार तो मतलब सर्विस कराते हैं गाड़ी को. बट फॉर आवर बॉडीज एंड आवर माइंड्स वी लिटरली पुश इट टिल इट स्मोकिंग. धुआं जब तक नहीं निकलता है तब तक हम पुश करते हैं. सो प्रिवेंटिव हेल्थ इज अबाउट how do we make sure that your car, your body's car, is getting serviced regularly, and how can we pick up a problem at its earliest? क्योंकि शुरुआत में एक प्रॉब्लम सॉल्व करना बहुत आसान है. इतना आसान है कि लोग डिसमिस करते हैं कि यार इतना सिंपल तो नहीं हो सकता. राइट?
Give me an example.
लाइक फॉर एग्जाम्पल, अगर समझो तुम्हें एंग्जाइटी हो रही है. ठीक है. एंग्जाइटी का मतलब हो रहा है हमारा बॉडी फाइट एंड फ्लाइट में जा रहा है. आवर बॉडी थिंक्स दैट इट इज इन डेंजर. ठीक है. नाउ यू गो इनटू एंग्जाइटी, यू कम बैक टू नॉर्मल. दैट इज कॉल्ड रेजिलियंस. एंग्शियस हो गया, बैक, यू आर बैक नॉर्मल, ग्रेट. You keep going into anxiety, you go into chronic anxiety, your body does not have the time to recover. It starts affecting your heart, it starts affecting your sleep. That in turn reduces your resilience. After a period of time, even a small trigger will push you into anxiety. And suddenly you start throwing a panic attack, तुम focus नहीं कर पा रहे हो. But before that time, कुछ 6 महीने से तुम्हारे बॉडी में changes होना शुरू हुआ है. Your sleep was getting affected. तुम्हारा heart rate variability कम होना शुरू हुआ था पहले से ही. Can we pick up on that?
What's heart rate variability?
Heart rate variability basically is the ability of your heart to change its rate, to make it up and down as required. So if needed, can my heart rate go up to 180? And when not needed, can I bring it down to 50?
What's the range of heart rate variability? Like, is it like a percentage?
Higher, the better. So heart rate variability is the ability of the heart to change.
To be
There's
variable.
no
To be variable.
upper limit ki iske baad
So,
it's also not.
It should be about 30.
About?
30. About 30.
Above 30. Okay.
Yeah. It's not a fixed number, but 30, 40, 50, 70, 100, 110. Athletes have a lot, like a much higher heart rate variability. So basically heart rate variability का मतलब क्या है? आप अभी we're all chill, relaxed. Your heart rate must be what? 50, 60, 70. You're an athlete, maybe yours is 40.
All right then.
Okay. Now, suddenly there is a bomb going off here. We have to run. Your heart rate shoots up to 120. Cool. You go out, things are calm. How long will your heart rate remain at 120? Which means how long will you remain anxious after a threat?
Very interesting.
If your heart rate variability is high, you will calm down faster. So they did the study on chess players. So people with higher heart rate variability were able to calm down quicker after a bad position. The lower your heart rate, the calmer you are, the better your decision making is. So when you're calm, you can make a logical decision. When your heart is racing, you will make a panicked decision, anxious decision. That anxious decision will lead to another mistake.
And that anxious decision is the first best thought that comes to mind. This is the first best case scenario that comes to my mind. I'll just take it.
It's like a panicked thing. You don't have that mental space to step back, think कि मैं क्या कर रहा हूँ, क्यों कर रहा हूँ. In chess, they say that it's not the first blunder that loses the game, it's the second. So the first blunder, you realize it, start panicking, make another mistake, that loses the game. But if your heart rate variability is high, you will make a mistake, get anxious, calm down, heart rate comes down, make a better decision.
And this is making anxiety and the entire situation more biological than it appears to be.
Yeah.
So is there also a way and a process by which I can increase my this range and increase my speed to recover?
Absolutely. So one of the interesting things about heart rate variability is if you've never pushed your heart rate up, your heart rate variability is very low.
If you have never run at full speed. Ran at full speed.
Exactly. Because your body is not used to that. So the first time somebody shouts at you, your boss shouts at you, तुम्हारा heart rate has gone through the roof. If you've had a very easy going childhood, किसी ने डांटा नहीं है तुम्हें, तुम पहले जॉब पे किसी ने डांटा, तुम्हें पता ही नहीं है इसको कैसे हैंडल करना है. Your heart rate is up. Now you are panicking. कि अरे ऐसे क्या हो गया. If you've gone through that up and down, you can bring it down again. So the way to increase your heart rate variability is to keep pushing your heart rate up and then resting. Literally stretching your heart rate ka range. So go for a 10-minute run and make sure that at night you get good sleep. So that range.
It can be through exercise and not necessarily has to be through an anxious situation or a danger situation.
It should ideally be through a controlled stress.
But isn't this what yo-yo test is, if I'm not wrong? The yo-yo test जो cricketers देते हैं अपने Indian team में, it's basically that there are beeps that go off. So you have to take one sprint, walk back, then another sprint and walk back. And with every sprint, the time you have to complete that sprint decreases. So the number of oscillations that you can make, that's
your score.
But it's crazy that like now that I understand, it's not just for physical ability to do that.
Yeah.
It's also like you're not panicking when the shit gets real. Like when एक ball में 4 run चाहिए, your mind is yo-yo testing.
Yes.
That's
You
crazy.
are training your nervous system. Right? Because when they say कि तुम्हारा mentality strong होना चाहिए, strong कैसे होगा? Unless you push. Right? You have to push yourself when you are in peacetime. So that you're ready for war.
I think this beautifully interrelates physical and mental health. Like I have never heard of it in a better way.
मतलब हमने anxiety के बारे में बात कर रहे हैं, which is a mental disorder, whatever you want to call it, right? And then it directly correlates to HRV.
Yes.
Which, if I'm not wrong, is regulated by your nervous system.
Correct.
Right?
Your autonomic nervous system, if you want to be very specific.
Yeah.
So your autonomic nervous system is the core. It is the fundamental rhythm of your body.
Can you explain more about it?
Absolutely. It's my favorite subject.
Yeah.
Like autonomic nervous system is, it's very unfortunate because MBBS में, and even through medicine, autonomic nervous system is kind of ignored. ठीक है, कोई पढ़ाता नहीं है ठीक से, कोई सीखता नहीं है, क्योंकि हमारा लॉन्ग आंसर क्वेश्चन में वो आता नहीं है, 10 मार्क का क्वेश्चन नहीं होता वो। बाकी सारा नर्व सप्लाई सब आता है। ऑटोनॉमिक नर्वस सिस्टम के बारे में थोड़ा कम बात करते हैं, बट इट इज द मोस्ट इंपॉर्टेंट पार्ट ऑफ द बॉडी। ठीक है, द ऑटोनॉमिक नर्वस सिस्टम इवॉल्व्ड बिफोर द ब्रेन इवॉल्व्ड।
That's crazy. How do we know that?
How?
It existed before there was a central brain. So initially when evolution was happening,
Right.
there was just बहुत पहले, ठीक है, like jellyfish stage पे, there was no brain.
Right.
It was just nerves. It was called a nerve net.
Yes.
ठीक है, but even a jellyfish had to get away from danger. Right?
Of course.
Fight or flight तभी भी था. That is autonomic nervous system. Autonomic nervous system का काम है, डेंजर हो तो भागो, डेंजर नहीं है, खाना है तो पास में जाओ.
So it is not cognitive.
No.
It is very intuitive and
Correct. But then what is cognitive? It is just an increasing complexity of intuition.
yeah. So that is what
Crazy definition. That definition just slapped me right. Fucking hell.
What is cognitive? बोलता रहता है, क्या है वो?
What is it? It's just an increasing complexity of intuition.
That's
right.
Wow.
That's
It's just
crazy.
you just add layer upon layer upon layer. So that's how evolution also happened. So autonomic nervous system is so old.
And intuition is also something I've always wanted to understand better, but like I just can never like get a grasp of it. So I want to come back to it
Especially
later.
from a neurological
Yeah,
perspective.
Because it's an oxymoron. You cannot get a grasp of intuition.
Intuition. Yeah.
And ऐसे ना बहुत
they're
सारे
opposite
words
words.
हैं which are assumed कि सबको समझ आते हैं, but there is no definition. No one knows the
यार वो
definition.
गट में सबको समझ आते हैं. Intuition, it's not something I have to explain to anyone. वो होता है, वो सबको समझ आता है.
I at the same time think everyone understands it differently.
Yeah. Which is also interesting because when you say gut, right? Evolution में the gut and the autonomic nervous system evolved parallel. Literally, ऐसे if you look at a body,
That's
like
crazy.
if you look at the earthworm, why would you look at an earthworm? But let's look at it. If you look at an
I used to
earthworm,
look at them as a kid.
yes, like if you look at an earthworm, there is head, tail, and there is एक line है जो nervous system है, उसके पीछे there is the gut. These two have evolved simultaneously through evolution. Like they are the beating, like the core
That is
of
crazy.
life. Like एक है खाना और दूसरा है खाने के तरफ कैसे जाने का.
हाँ.
That's it. So the nervous system is responsible for getting food, and the gut system is responsible for giving energy to the nervous system. That's it. That's life.
So the two
As
long
simple as it gets.
That's intuition. Basically. That's it. That is like the earliest
That
form of
ideally
intuition.
you can categorize everything in these two buckets.
It's not that complex.
Either it is coming through the gut or it is coming through my nervous system.
इतना ही है.
Anxiety and Dakar the same.
Oh, bhai, yeah, that's true. Which is why so many people with anxiety have gut issues.
That's true. One of the
Yes.
first thing that happens in stress or when you're feeling anxious is the भूख लगनी बंद हो जाती है.
Acidity. Right? तो acidity में क्या होता है? हमारा esophagus होता है, एक ट्यूब है, और स्टमक है. स्टमक में पूरा एसिड भरा हुआ है. So अगर वो एसिड बाहर आता है तो you get burning. So to prevent the acid from coming out, there is a sphincter. It's called lower esophageal sphincter at the bottom of the food pipe, which is held shut. It's like a gate. It is shut by the parasympathetic nervous system. मतलब it is shut by the autonomic nervous system.
The one that calms you down.
Yes. So when we eat, it will open. So that food can go in. And as soon as the food goes in, it has to shut again. और ये हम voluntarily नहीं कर रहे, automatic होता है. When you are anxious, तुम्हारा autonomic nervous system का balance चला जाता है. तो वो sphincter का जो regulation है वो चला जाता है. Acid बाहर आता है. You get anxiety. You get GERD, burning. So that's why people when they're anxious, they start feeling like कुछ तो हो रहा है. Right? It is all autonomic nervous system, dude.
That's crazy.
All right.
What a start to the podcast.
I'm gonna get us back to where we were talking about anxiety and HRV and then it relating to physical activity. And जो generally कहते हैं, I think one of the biggest advice, mental health advice is that exercise. Right, one of the biggest wisdoms that our parents and purvajas have given us is that bahar sair karke aao, get some sunlight, do all of that, right? So this is a very technical way to explain that. It's a beautiful way to explain that. So one thing is HRV and physical activity, clearly correlated in everything. Any other physical activity that improves that? And then after that, what are the other ways to regulate autonomic nervous system?
So movement is very interesting because let's go back to evolution again. Movement was the only reason for evolution. If you think about it, there is life and food is here. You have to move, right? There is nothing else to do except move. Food apne aap to nahi aane wala hai. Although a lot of evolution has been about that also, which is plants. Like they just get food from sunlight and so that is, they don't move.
They pull.
But after a while, from plants, they started moving. Started going towards food, which is the beginning of movement. Movement is very old. We were designed to move. Every cell in our body is designed to move. Movement is not optional. And because it is so old, everything that is built on top of it is built on the assumption that you are going to move. The most important example is dopamine. तो हमारा movement होता है dopamine से, ठीक है? So if I have to pick up this glass, I will say मुझे उठाना है. First I need a dopamine spike. That dopamine spike will allow me to pick it up. As I pick it up, dopamine is increasing even more for me to complete the task. If I'm not moving, dopamine कम होता है. Dopamine कम हुआ तो मुझे motivation नहीं होता, तो मैं movement और कम करता हूँ. This is one of the essential cycles of depression. क्योंकि dopamine नहीं है, movement नहीं हो रहा है, movement नहीं हो रहा है, dopamine नहीं है. तो ये मूवमेंट का फंडा बहुत बहुत इंपॉर्टेंट है. लाइक हर एक चीज पे मूवमेंट इज लिंक्ड विथ आवर वेल बीइंग. तो हार्ट रेट वेरिएबिलिटी का भी देयर इज अ क्लोज कनेक्शन. सो द मोर यू मूव, योर हार्ट रेट वेरिएबिलिटी इंप्रूव्स बिकॉज इट मेक्स योर ऑटोनॉमिक नर्वस सिस्टम मोर मैलिएबल. उसका स्ट्रेंथ बढ़ जाता है.
There's this crazy stat I heard in a podcast, which I totally forgot, but went on the lines of the biggest reason for mortality amongst elder people is not a chronic disease, but it's after their first fall.
Yeah.
Because movement gets so restricted. That is the biggest it's not कि बस old age से मर गया या फिर ये.
It's not even close. So after the age of 50 or 60, if you have a fall and you break your hip bone, you will be bedridden for like 3 months. There's almost a 30% chance of mortality in a year.
Wow.
It's crazy. Right?
That's
because when you stop moving, every system in your body shuts down. One thing that happens is, like I said, dopamine. Right? You're not moving, dopamine नहीं हो रहा है, motivation कम हो गया, mood कम हो गया, mood कम हुआ तो खाना कम हो गया, बात करना कम हो गया, sunlight मिलना कम हो गया, तुम्हारा bones weak हो गया. Movement is important for digestion. So if you're not moving, you're not digesting. All that food is getting collected in your gut. Gut bacteria multiplies. You get infections. You get constipation. That in turn affects your liver, your kidney, eventually heart. Everything starts getting affected simply by not moving. It is that important. So now the conventional wisdom is changing. Like if somebody needs bed rest, keep them moving in bed. Physiotherapy करवाओ, हाथ पैर चलाओ, like keep them moving. The improvement in their disease is much better. Earlier it was like, oh rest दो, ठीक हो जाएगा. Now we realize that नहीं, in fact rest से problem होता है. Keep them moving.
Just a question here, specifically about understanding about HRV more. When you are resting, when you don't have the ability to move because of a fall or because of anything, can breathwork also help me regulate my HRV? Because I have seen practices where just by breathing in a certain way, I can increase my heart rate and I can decrease it, and that kind of range can be played with.
Yeah, breathwork is very, very important. I think our school mein breathwork should be taught. The reason it's interesting is because breath is the only body function that has a dual control. हमारा वॉलंटरी कंट्रोल भी है, ऑटोनॉमिक कंट्रोल भी है. बाकी कोई भी ऑटोनॉमिक फंक्शन में वॉलंटरी कंट्रोल नहीं है. लाइक फॉर एग्जाम्पल हार्ट रेट का वॉलंटरी कंट्रोल नहीं है, गट में क्या हो रहा है वॉलंटरी कंट्रोल नहीं है. इवन योर सेक्शुअल फंक्शंस आर ऑल ऑटोनॉमिक. तो इरेक्शन होना नहीं होना, दैट इज ऑल्सो ऑटोनॉमिक. इट्स नॉट वॉलंटरी. बट ब्रेथ is the only function that the body has which has a dual control. तो automatic भी हो रहा है, but you can switch it to voluntary anytime you want. So that is why breathing is so important. So if you can voluntarily change your breath, feedback loop से तुम्हारा autonomic system change होता है.
I think when you said कि school में पढ़ाना चाहिए, I think one of the first thing a human should be taught is how to breathe.
How to breathe.
I think
Especially if it has some part of it is voluntary.
Yeah.
यार पिछले एक साल में like my personal mental health, मैं I think मैं हर एपिसोड में बोल रहा हूँ ये, तो मेरा actual गांड मरी है. So but one of the biggest tools that I've learned, one is ChatGPT. Dude, it's crazy what it does. But second is breathwork. How breathwork has helped me when I did not understand anything what was happening to me about anxiety or other things. It made me feel like I'm in a place where I can at least question. It did not give me answers or like unlike, because I think one of the worst things you can do when you're anxious is meditate, right? You really cannot. It's I think a terrible spiral. Breathwork on the other hand is something that's anti-meditative, but when I say that, I mean that it's benefits of meditation without really meditating.
Yeah.
It calms you down.
Yeah.
But there are ways to do it. There are certain techniques, right?
Yeah.
Is that something that you've, I'm sure you've researched on or like read about?
Yeah.
Can you share some?
Absolutely. So you cannot outthink anxiety. You cannot think your way out of anxiety.
100%.
So anxiety is a physical issue, right? I have stopped thinking of anxiety as a mental problem because that puts all the pressure on their conscious selves. Ki no, just think positive. Nahi hota, because anxiety is a physical issue. It is an autonomic dysfunction. So it's like अगर आग जल रही है तो पहले आग को बुझाओ. Forget about how it happened, why it happened. All that is thinking. कि ये नहीं होना चाहिए था, ऐसा नहीं होना चाहिए था. Ideally मेरे घर में आग नहीं जलना चाहिए था. वो सब बाद में. पहले आग को बुझाओ. Right? That is what happens in anxiety. Like you are trying to solve the root problem while you are in anxiety. Doesn't work. First calm down. And you cannot think your way to calming down. That's why I agree with you. Meditation is not a great idea when you are anxious. Meditation is great to avoid anxiety.
Future fire.
Preventive. It's preventive.
It's preventive. When you are anxious, breathwork is a great tool. And the way to do it is you basically have to switch from sympathetic to parasympathetic. Sympathetic is fight and flight. Parasympathetic is rest and digest. So the way to do that is when you are anxious, you're breathing fast and shallow. Like that. You switch from that to slow, deep breaths. 4-5 seconds inhalation, 5-6 seconds exhalation. More air out than in. As you keep doing this, after a minute, 2 minutes, your body switches to parasympathetic. Irrespective of why you are anxious. It doesn't matter. You can even hum as you are exhaling. I found this very useful. So as you inhale and as you exhale, exhaling के time पे hum करो. Even chanting Om works.
Right.
Same principle.
Yeah.
Humming is, I think Om is the one of, in religious context,
Yes.
the oldest humming there is.
Absolutely.
Right?
Yeah. And there's a reason why it helps you because it shifts your body into parasympathetic. And as you keep doing it, you will find yourself getting calmer. You'll find yourself just relaxing, your body is just slowing down, your heart rate is slowing down. Once you are out of anxiety, then you can start thinking about और क्या क्या करना चाहिए. The other thing that you can use to switch is stretching. So when you're anxious, your muscles are tight, just stretch them. Your body will shift to parasympathetic.
It's crazy to even think about that all of this that we are now understanding how it relates to different parts of the brain has been rooted in our community since so long. So, I mean, sometimes it feels like when you were saying is that, and we were talking about intuition, is that maybe understanding of nervous system was very intuitive when we were talking about chants or stretching as yoga.
Yeah, absolutely. So that's the thing, right? These are not new problems. Anxiety has existed ever since life has existed.
I think a lot of people counter this by saying that anxiety is a new problem और पहले लोगों को नहीं होती थी. I've read so many people fighting on the internet saying this.
I've heard
I have
my
a
best
friend,
friend.
yeah. I didn't want to call him out.
Bro, the biggest example of anxiety is भाई तुम भगवत गीता पढ़ो यार. First chapter is पूरा anxiety only. Arjun जब भगवत गीता मतलब in Kurukshetra he is sitting there. एक verse by verse you can take that from an anxiety ka psychiatry textbook chapter. Every symptom that Arjun is going through in Bhagavad Gita is diagnostic of anxiety. He is saying ki my hair is standing up, my mouth is getting dry, I am not able to think, I'm only thinking negative things, my body is becoming weak, I can't focus. All these are symptoms of anxiety. He's having a panic attack in the middle of the field. That is anxiety.
That's crazy.
And right after that, he says, मुझे motivation नहीं है, मुझे नहीं लड़ना है, मैं जा रहा हूँ. That is depression. Like it's almost like giving up.
Borderline, yes.
Fight and flight. Right? Like I'm running away. I want to go away. That is anxiety. That's a panic attack. तो क्या है मतलब नया बात क्या है इसमें? Like people have had anxiety attacks since the beginning.
I freaking love that. Before we move on to religion, that is something that we all of us, when we were just talking about this pehle, you're like, this is so interesting. Let's talk about this. Before we move on to it, I want to understand from because I don't know how often we get a chance to sit across with you. Tell me कि क्या हो रहा है जब हम breathe कर रहे हैं anxiety को? क्या हो रहा है जब हम stretch कर रहे हैं? जब हम hum कर रहे हैं क्या हो रहा है? Because like these are great tools to have, but I feel like understanding these tools and embodying them helps you use them in those situations.
100%. I think, see, we are in a generation now, rightly so, where we want explanation. Okay? I feel that, unfortunately, when we were growing up, I feel that 2 generations later, it will not be a problem because it will all be proven. And there will be proper explanations as to why should you do all these things. We are in that middle path where we think कि यार ये जो भी पुराना कर रहे थे वो गलत है क्योंकि explanation नहीं है उनके पास. So we have to do that. We have to explain.
And while having a lot of information for a lot of things also, there is a problem of misinformation also.
Yeah.
Because a lot of the things are not proven, so they are opinion based or they're small study based.
हाँ कि नई research आई है कि
sample space बहुत छोटा था.
Correct. No, and I agree. I think you should demand explanation.
100%.
Right? Like you should demand that give me a logical answer as to why should I breathe? Why should I learn to do these things? So basic concept is when you are inhaling, तुम्हारा body, your body actually switches to sympathetic. And when you're exhaling, your body goes into parasympathetic. ये switch होता है. So as you keep inhaling and exhaling deeper, you are increasing your HRV. Like the stretching concept. So deep inhalation, heart rate goes up. Do you know that every time you inhale, your heart rate goes up?
Yeah.
And every time you exhale, your heart rate goes down.
Yeah.
Simply by doing that, you're increasing your HRV, you're increasing your resilience. So that when you get an anxiety attack, because HRV is high, you are able to calm down faster. Right? And stretching ka concept is same. When you are anxious, your muscles are tensed because it thinks that it is about to go to war. Abhi ladne wale hain. Which is why people with chronic anxiety have a lot of neck pain, a lot of back pain. उनको पता ही नहीं चलता है कि इतने time से मेरा muscles are tight. Stretch. As you stretch and as your muscles relax, it sends a feedback loop. That, you know what? It's okay. You are safe. You're calm. So that in turn calms you down. So these are just feedback loops. You are using your body to tell your brain whatever message you want to tell it. So I'm sure all of us have experienced it. Like कोई तो दोस्त का बहुत anxiety हो रहा है and you're saying, don't worry, calm down. Has it ever worked?
Never.
Right? It doesn't work.
It's the opposite.
It's the opposite. The reason is when you're anxious, तुम्हारा लॉजिकल ब्रेन काम नहीं कर रहा है. Like you're very emotional, and the part of the brain that can understand language is actually in your logical brain, prefrontal cortex. तो वो टाइम पे वो बात नहीं कर पा रहा है. Like when you're saying words, he cannot understand. So when you're emotional, only emotional things work. Like a gesture, like hand holding, hug, breathing,
Yeah, that's true.
physical things. In that state, you need to communicate in that language, in that emotional language, in that physical language. So anybody who's been in a relationship, I think, will understand this. कि लड़ने के टाइम पे logical नहीं करना चाहिए.
Relax.
Never.
Chill kar.
Yes, why don't you
Banned
relax?
words from my dictionary.
I haven't read Bhagavad Gita. So, what was the solution to Arjun's problem?
When Arjun gets a panic attack, Krishna's first response is such a college friend response. Such a college friend response. He says, "Arey pagal hai kya? You are a fighter. Stop doing all this and fight." He literally says that. So the beginning of the second chapter is literally Krishna saying, क्या बकचोदी कर रहा है? उठ भाई, ये टाइम थोड़ी ना ये सब करने का. Let's fight. And then Arjun is like, नहीं, मैं नहीं करूँगा. Then he starts. Then Krishna sort of settles into that whole thing about why should he fight. But it was interesting that the first response is not
Wisdom.
full intellectual wisdom. First response is, "Arey chalna."
Chal. Let's
Which is so human.
Yes.
I think stories, a great way to tell if a story is good or not is how long it survives. And religion is a great story that has survived for a very long time.
Lindy effect.
Could I fact? I thought you just like cussed at me.
मेरे को भी लगा क्या हुआ. Fuck all was bad.
No, Lindy effect is exactly what you said. That how do you know the validity of something? Can it stand the test of time?
Right.
Right? So any idea, if it has survived over 10 years and it has been now disproven, then it's not the core.
Right.
But what any core truth just survives
Yeah.
through time. That's Lindy effect. So yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
And
what
for
you
any core truth or an idea to be propagated, a story is the best medium for it, right? And if the story survives a very long time, the core truth, hence the core truth is very like, one, it's very true. Second, it's been told in a very human way that's relatable.
Yeah.
So it's very crazy that you said, because my job is to tell stories and like to tell them in a way which gets the most likes and hence like, relatable and everything. If Krishna just said like, oh, this is the wisdom, I would detach immediately because I wouldn't see my human self or my friend. I wouldn't find relevance in that. But it's very interesting that happens.
Yeah, no, I love their friendship. I feel like it's that's exactly what you would want a friend to do when you are going through a bad patch. That first try to snap me out of it. And very often that's what you need.
Right.
You don't always need a 18 chapter wisdom every time you have a bad day. Sometimes you just, "Arey, chalna, let's just go out, get some coffee and you'll be okay."
Right.
Sometimes all you need is that. But sometimes you're in a very bad space. So then you need that full in-depth thing. It is basically therapy. What Krishna did basically is therapy. In fact, cognitive behavioral therapy, which is the sort of like the standard of psychotherapy now, very similar to what the Bhagavad Gita is. It basically is in 3 steps, which is, let's zoom you out of the problem. Let's understand overall how to change your thought process about the problem, which is cognitive. Then let's talk about the behavioral part, like what should you actually do? And that is Karma Yoga in Bhagavad Gita. Which is कि देख तू जो भी सोच रहा है, you're looking at the problem in this way. What if I can change the way you're looking at the problem? What if I can change your perspective about the problem?
Shift.
You are thinking that like Arjun is thinking that I am fighting my relatives. ये गलत है, मुझे नहीं करना, ये conflict है मेरे लिए. Krishna is like, bro, you are not fighting your relatives, you are doing your job. This is your job, this is your identity. So you are looking at the problem in a wrong way. So cognitive हो गया, thought process को change करना. And then he's saying what your action is the most important thing. तुझे तेरा काम करना है. How you will be judged बाद में, वो सब कुछ बाद में. But you doing your job is the most important thing. And then he goes much deeper. Then he goes into bhakti yoga, which is like how do you surrender yourself to your task, and then he goes very deep. But basic concept is that. So I really loved it. I thought that anxiety is such an old problem, right? And this is not a new thing that people are trying to figure out. Like it's always existed. So if you read old texts, जो problems वो time पे थे, their solutions are as valid. I feel like I think we can learn a lot of wisdom from that.
What purpose do you think religion served in a pre-modern era, or like pre-our generation, let's say, pre-millennial generation? Because I feel like right now, I think we would agree, because like it's an opinion based in understanding of what I've seen. Religion is in a very interesting place where more and more people are questioning it, but there's also this radicalization in a way that people want to hold it very close. Some people want to hold it very close, and some people oppose it very hardly. And there's a very little middle ground where, listen, I just practice this for myself. Like that nuance has shifted from our previous generation, where people embodied their religion in a different way. Or maybe I'm wrong. I'm just
No, that's absolutely correct.
Right.
I think so. I think maybe all of us were born into religious families. Would that be true?
Correct. Yeah.
Right, and then we kind of go through that phase. हम लोग science के बारे में पढ़ते हैं, and then we sort of start realizing that, wait, this doesn't make sense. You know, like, why are you making me wake up at 5 a.m. and go to a temple and I just want to sleep? And you slowly start thinking ki, and then you ask questions to your parents, to your grandparents, and the answers don't make sense to you. They don't fit in with your worldview or everything else that you're reading.
Because we're used to a logic: A implies B implies C implies D. Their logic to our questions is,
but there's a big gap also.
No, it's A implies B and B because A. It's a
circular.
It's a circular logic. हम है क्योंकि भगवान है, भगवान है, या फिर B पे end हो जाता है, या फिर like there's no.
But there's gap in logic, I think. This is why when you were talking about, yes, it is great to ask for explanation, it is great to ask question, but I think it's a very difficult path too, especially when it comes to religion, because even today there are a lot of things, at least that is my personal opinion, which we do not have answers for. And for specifically those things, I also have started to feel now. I was never like this, but now eventually I am trying to become that person where sometimes you just need to like be okay with like
just have faith.
Yeah, just have faith.
Which is so hard. When you question it, it's the moment you question faith, the faith is gone. That is the whole point of faith.
Correct.
And our generation raised on
questioning.
Yeah, because
born into faith and raised by questioning.
Yes.
Right. First who were pushed to ask questions. We were like sab kuch hi questions tha.
Yes. And that has brought a lot of good.
Yeah. 100%.
It's because we have questioned so many things that science is progressing, right? Like you look at birds and you wonder, how are birds flying? Now, if you just accept that because God made them like that, to khatam na fir.
Kabhi airplane nahi banta.
Exactly. But because you question what is Bernoulli's principle, or, you know, like what is the physics of a bird flying, if you don't have that, then you will not invent anything, right? And priests will not be able to fly from country to country to spread religion.
Right.
It happened because people questioned something and made progress. You have to keep questioning. The problem is, truth cannot exist in isolation of truth. So, agar hame gravity pata chal gaya, now everything else has to fit in the same world where gravity exists. That is the problem with religion. That is the problem with a lot of things that were described at a time when modern science and physics was not discovered yet. Truth has to keep updating. So religion also has to keep updating. So it cannot exist in isolation of whatever we know today.
But because religion starts from the isolation of this truth, this fact that there is God. The starting point is a fact. Like, I don't know how to find a logic to that.
Actually, it's not that easy. The answer is simple. हम लोग बच्चे हैं. Humanity, humans, on average, are kids. We are so scared of everything. We have to understand that we evolved from monkeys. Monkeys are not apex predators. Monkeys are very scared creatures. They only have strength in groups, right? And any other apex predator can come and kill a monkey. We evolved from that. हमारे अंदर anxiety is baked in. At a genetic level हमारी फटी हुई है. Right? हम लोग की फट रही है भाई. Like we are somehow, we find ourselves top of the food pyramid with the anxiety of a bottom of the pyramid species.
दिमाग है, after a point it starts attacking itself.
Correct. Yeah, like,
But on the contrary, in a group we can do anything.
yes.
As a tribe,
And that's how we raised up in
That's
the...
literally, the tribe is what got us here. अभी का जो hyper individualism जो चल रहा है ना,
yeah.
the idea that we can do things by ourselves is a very modern idea that has only been achieved because of technology that we got because we worked together.
Because sense of community मिल जाता है कमरे में बैठे बैठे. By just scrolling on Instagram, I get that sense of community just by a few likes or commenting on someone else's video.
Or hating on someone.
Or hating on
also.
someone.
Like a group of people hating on someone, that's a tribe that you chose to be a
Yes,
part of.
correct.
पर हम बैठे तो अकेले like in a room. That is not how I was supposed to be.
Exactly, but that's also why social validation is so important. The reason that likes are so important, right? हर बार तुम WhatsApp check क्यों करते हो, Instagram check क्यों करते हो, कोई DM आया है कि नहीं? Like, what is my tribe saying about me? अगर किसी ने कुछ बुरा बोल दिया, troll कर दिया, दिन खराब हो गया, right? Because what if they throw me out of the tribe? मैं मर जाऊंगा. Monkeys, we are monkeys, right? Like, we are still in that state of mind. We are not apex predators.
Yeah.
फटी पड़ी है.
तभी that illusion of power maybe gives us that feeling, that dopamine hit, that I am not something that I think I am.
Then
I have more power than that.
If it's so genetically, like, we're so mediocre genetically, what's this urge to constantly gain power? Which I would say is like every sort of person wants power, fame.
I think that comes from that anxiety, because you're anxious of survival.
And insecurity.
Exactly. So insecurity is a natural consequence of anxiety, because you are scared. It comes from fear. So how do you avoid fear? By trying to protect yourself. So you will think that अगर बैंक में 1 करोड़ है, अगर घर है, अगर बड़ा दीवार है, I have security guards or whatever. I have people. I have power. I can protect myself. It comes from a place of insecurity. Have you ever gone to like a safari and seen a lion?
No.
Or a tiger or anything? Like any of the apex predators, just observe any of the apex predators. You will notice how their behavior is different.
Yeah.
And there's probably a reason why they did not conquer the world. Because they didn't feel like doing it. They didn't need to. There is a certain level of comfort that comes from being an apex predator. And the more I think about it, I feel that it is the anxiety that has made us take over the world.
Anxiety is a superpower, that's what you're saying.
I think it is the anxiety, it is the insecurity that makes us explore, keep going. Mars mein jao, idhar jao. Because what is enough? When are we ever sure ki abhi we are good? When is it ever enough? It's never enough.
On the contrary, how and when do you feel fulfilled?
I think it is a very difficult question. I think religion has been trying to answer this. Spirituality has been trying to answer this. Philosophy has been trying to answer this. I think you feel fulfilled when you overcome your ego. Ego is that sense of anxiety that कि मेरा क्या होगा. जब तक वो है, tab tak you are acting from a place of anxiety, insecurity. I'm not saying it's a bad thing. In fact, I'm saying it's a very human thing. But we have to acknowledge कि हाँ भाई ये है. Because of my monkey brain, I will always feel like 1 million followers हो गया तो but उसका तो 2 million है. Right? 1 crore है but मेरे दोस्त के पास 2 crore है. You will always have that. It is not going to be enough.
And
So,
it is impossible or close to impossible to eradicate that feeling.
correct. Unless you overcome that core thing. The solution is not more.
The closest I've come to finding a solution is finding people. Like if I've ever felt, the most fulfilled I've felt is in moments and not like in general. मैं जिंदगी में ऐसे fulfilled नहीं रहता हूँ. I feel unfulfilled, I feel insecure and anxious and all of that. But there are moments where I felt fulfilled. Most of, I would say 80% of those moments include people that I love and who I know care about me. And like in a way, it sort of cures my anxiety to know there are people who care about me and love me for who I am and all of that. And that I also gives me a purpose that these are people I want to look after and care for and stuff like that.
Yeah, absolutely. I think we have to draw a distinction between different hormones ka happiness. Okay, so this is my new framework. So there is dopamine happiness.
Interesting.
Okay.
Love this. This is very interesting. Okay.
So when people say, "Are you happy?" Now you have to ask, what kind of happy?
What kind of happy?
There is dopamine happiness, which is the happiness of anticipation. कि मैं तुम्हें गिफ्ट देने वाला हूँ, ठीक है, और मैंने एक प्रेजेंट दिया, तुम्हें पता नहीं है क्या है, तुम खोल रहे हो, डोपामिन मिल रहा है, खोल दिया, आईफोन है, oh wow, amazing, then it falls.
Right.
After 10 minutes you're not happy.
Right.
Because dopamine is gone. So dopamine happiness is that we are constantly chasing that.
And ऐसा भी होता है ना, relative में होता है, like because I felt it so high, the next moment when it is low, the
Yes.
low feels lower than.
Correct. So
It's not normal.
अगर मैंने विष्णु को ये आईफोन दिया, ठीक है, and I gave you a tie. If I would have given you only a tie and nothing else, you would have felt happy. But now your anticipation is that मुझे भी iPhone मिलेगा. Now you get a tie. क्या है? Right? So that dopamine happiness is very subjective to preceding level of dopamine. I give you an iPhone now. After 10 minutes, I give you another iPhone. Next happiness spike is not that much. ये तो अभी मिला है.
Right, because I think in one of the previous episodes we were talking about how if you get recurring highs of dopamine, your bar for dopamine increases. So the jitna happy you felt with, let's say, X amount of dopamine, if you get X times enough, your bar will be 2X now. So you will need a 2X dopamine spike to feel as happy as you used to.
Absolutely. Right? Because now that is the new normal. कि इतना तो होना ही है. Right? So if there is somebody who is grown up in a rural village house and they come to a city and they get a lot of money, there is financial security, there is a maid, there is a cook. Wow, amazing. In 1 week, this is normal. एक दिन cook नहीं आई, अरे यार क्या झंड life है, क्यों मतलब, you know, your life expectation changes. Now your happiness is defined by a different set of parameters. It's the same hormone.
In other words, the Bombay effect, right?
Bombay effect.
बॉम्बे पहले 2 दिन लगता क्या सीढ़ी है और वो सीढ़ी है, अबे तीसरे दिन खड्डे, ये बारिश हो रही है,
घर नहीं है.
Because we are anxious people. Anxiety में तुम्हें सिर्फ problems दिखता है. Because we are constantly searching for what will harm us. ठीक है? So that is dopamine happiness.
Okay.
Yeah, also now, because he also mentioned that we have talked about this dopamine a lot of times in previous episodes also, can we just dig a little deeper into dopamine? 2 questions. First, what exactly is dopamine in the simplest form? And second, because of the way how you just explain dopamine happiness, it seems ki it is very transactional in nature. Which makes me think about, I don't know how this is a question, but my thought makes me think of Buddhism. And Buddhism talks a lot about letting go of these transactions with the world. That take that locus of control completely inside, then letting it be outside and let go of all the material.
Yeah.
But then it blocks dopamine from how I am understanding dopamine. Or maybe changes or makes it more internal. I don't know. Confused.
Yeah, I think that what you're trying to say is when you are chasing something, then the act of the chase is what is giving you dopamine happiness, because dopamine is an anticipation molecule. It is a molecule of anticipating reward. So that means that by definition you are always chasing, because chase is what is giving you happiness. So you're always chasing. The other kind
Correct.
of,
As soon as I get it, it starts to fall.
it starts falling. And if you associate the fall with sadness, that means that, oh, now you're sad. Now you have to chase again to be happy. And the reason that this cannot be an Instagram reel is because this is so nuanced. Because the chase is also purpose
Yeah, and
and motivation.
but a lot of widespread and popular wisdom says to stop the chase. Chase is not looked positively. It has a lot of negative connotation to it as a word.
Correct. But that is our misunderstanding, because you need dopamine to feel motivated to get up, to get out of bed. अगर dopamine नहीं है, तो there is a disease called Parkinson's, जहाँ पे तुम्हारा movement बंद हो जाता है. You are literally a robot. You can't, if it's very severe, you can't move. तुम्हारा facial expression चला जाता है. You feel no motivation. Depression is a lack of dopamine. So it's not that straightforward कि यार dopamine खराब है. Like you need that. But the problem is you have to understand कि ये मैं chase में अटका हूँ. And this happiness is going to be fleeting. The dopamine happiness is going to be fleeting. Which brings me to the other kinds of happiness. Thankfully, there are other kinds.
जितना मेरे को समझ आया, which is can be wrong, please feel free to correct me. The spike is what causes problem, because the down is utna hi. And I think one area that has been capitalizing and has capitalized really well is the internet on dopamine, right? So every time you scroll, you get a dopamine. You're chasing a video that will make you laugh. You're chasing like an information that will make you think that you can fix your finances in one day or stuff like that, right? So there's that chase, and these are built by people who understand the mind really well, much better than we do, right?
Yeah.
Something's happening and something's shifting in our reward mechanism in our brain,
Yeah.
in the world we live in,
Yeah.
which is blanket statement, not for the better, not an idealistic way to live life. If you're constantly going in casinos, you're going in social media, binge kar rahe ho, you're constantly in that zone. What's happening to the brain, and how can you go to a place where you, बुरा नहीं है कुछ भी, but how do you operate in a place, like what's your, like how do I live in an internet full life where I'm like not constantly thrilled
Perfect.
or chasing these spikes?
Let me explain it to you in a visual way. Imagine that there is a full sheet of blank paper and there's a dot that is you right now, and every arrow is a direction of movement. तुम इधर जा सकते हो, इधर जा सकते हो, ठीक है? Now short term dopamine spikes is तुम एक बार left गए, एक बार right गए, एक बार नीचे गए, एक बार आगे गए, पीछे गए, because you are simply chasing whatever is around us, ठीक है? It is not leading anywhere. But imagine if all the arrows were in the same direction. Now suddenly there is progress. There is movement. Whereas short-term dopamine spikes, you have moved a lot, but you're still there. Okay. This is the conflict. Dopamine is good because you need to move, but you also need a long-term dopamine motivation कि all those short-term vectors are in the same direction. Because you need to move in a direction.
I have goosebumps right now. Like it's making so much sense.
Right? Now, what is the problem with scrolling reels? एक reel देखा, dopamine मिल गया. Second reel देखा. First reel is about Israel Gaza. You feel things. Second reel is some funny Gujarati Dandiya meme. Third reel is Faye D'Souza, some news. Oh, you get angry or upset. Fourth reel is some cat video. ठीक है. 4 dopamine spike मिले. Your brain has moved. Every dopamine spike is a movement. Where are you now?
In a very confused face.
You feel like you've moved, but you're still in the same place that you were 10 minutes ago.
Wow, yes.
Whereas You watch 4 reels that are consecutive information about the same topic. You have moved. Your knowledge base has moved. If you are able to take every reel or every piece of information and add it to a thread in your head. So मुझे Israel Gaza के बारे में इतना पता था, but now I see another reel which increases my information, and now I know more about that information. I know more about that topic. That means that my knowledge graph has shifted. Great. That is good movement. So dopamine is short-term movements. You add dopamine together, you get serotonin happiness.
Serotonin is the progress ki happiness.
Yes, serotonin is what gives you value. Serotonin is what you use to identify yourself, who you are. तुम्हारा identity क्या है? So, if you do things that make you happy, but every day what you are doing adds to your story, that converts it into long-term happiness.
Can you give me an example?
For example, I like playing chess. ठीक है? So if I play chess one day, then I'll win, lose, dopamine spike, whatever. But if I'm playing chess every day and I'm getting better at it, over a period of time, I can now start thinking of myself as a chess player. I became a chess player through short-term dopamine spikes. But something comes out of that over time. Recently, this has happened with me with tennis. Like I used to play tennis on and off. Recently, I've started playing it more regularly. And now I can see a difference. मेरा serve ज़्यादा, first serve मेरा अंदर जा रहा है अभी. That could not have happened with one dopamine spike. That only happens after I played regularly for a month. Now that dopamine spike I'm getting when that first serve goes in is crazy. I can only get that if I did 1 month of playing before. Because all those dopamine spikes were in the same direction. I was doing the same thing again and again. That is the difference between dopamine happiness and serotonin happiness.
This makes a lot of sense because, to be honest, I feel I and to some extent even Vishnu, we are victims of dopamine addiction in some way.
Yeah.
We are the kind of people who want to do multiple things all the time. I can't be doing one thing the entire day, or even career-wise, I want to just venture into different things. And I think it comes from that 0 to 1 wala hormone, which is dopamine. But I'm just trying to understand here, why is this feeling more exciting or more easy and more that I want of than the long term of serotonin or the progressive hormone?
Because dopamine chases novelty. So any topic is most exciting when you're first opening it. Right? So if you are chasing that absolute novelty, you will only find it in the first go. And then after that, the novelty dips because it's familiar now. So then you will only read the first page of every book because it's new. But if you can just power through that little bit of novelty dip, what will happen is you will open up another layer of discovery, and then there is more novelty waiting for you underneath it.
Just a question. This dopamine and serotonin are part of the autonomic?
No, they are neurotransmitters. So they are brain chemicals that help the neurons talk to each other. So our brain cells are talking to each other. And so dopamine and serotonin help the brain cells talk to each other in different ways.
For example, melatonin for sleep.
Yes.
And like
Correct.
amongst other things.
Correct.
And some part of it is involuntary and some part of
It's
it
all-
is voluntary. Because
When we are talking about chemicals, it's difficult to talk about voluntary and involuntary because we're talking about them at two very different levels.
It was an indirect.
indirect.
Yeah.
Because why I am thinking is कि ठीक है, that innate feeling of chasing dopamine.
Yeah.
It is very natural. It is not voluntary. Like everyone is chasing किसी ना किसी तरीके से. But to power through that and make it more sustainable and actually get serotonin, it seems to me like a voluntary act.
Yeah.
Because if I don't power through, then I am just वही अलग-अलग direction में घूमे जा रहा हूँ.
Exactly. So you need a which is what the importance of the story is. You need an overarching story that is powerful enough that all those small dopamine spikes align themselves in one direction. I always think of it as iron filaments in a magnet. Right? Like in an iron box, it's all over the place. That is dopamine. But if you have one magnet that's strong enough, suddenly they all align in one direction.
So that's your purpose.
That's your purpose.
That is
You
purpose.
need that.
Wow.
which is what brings us back to religion, because for a long time that became the
The
magnet.
purpose, yes. Crazy.
So all those little dopamine spikes that was taking humans in random directions suddenly aligned themselves, which is probably why we got till this point.
Yeah.
We would have never been able to work together as a team if that one thing did not exist. Today we have companies. We don't need religion. Microsoft is a magnet. All the 1 million people working in Microsoft have one unified goal of Microsoft के लिए कैसे काम करना है. So that did not exist before.
Right.
So you needed something. You needed a corporation. Religion is a corporation. It's probably like the earliest
As of now, it's a combat sport.
IPO.
It's like you need something to surrender to. Because from what it seems like is कि ऐसे different direction में I'm just trying to understand and deconstruct is कि I'm just trying to feel that I have control. Because I am able to change directions every now and then, chase the dopamine. It's like me having control of what I am feeling.
Very interestingly, I think we've stumbled upon something that we talked about, which is the gamification aspect of it, wherein we indirectly talked about it. But I'll rephrase that question, and maybe you can take it wherever you want to, is that your understanding of these hormones helps you zoom out and see life in a way where you can tell that this will help me, this action will contribute to this result in a longer term basis. So as a neuroscientist who understands the brain, how can progress be biohacked, so to say, in a way that it's not exhausting and feels more fulfilling?
So you have to work with your biology. You cannot work outside your biology. तुम जो भी दिमाग में सोचो, you can create anything in your mind. You can create an identity of yourself as you want. कि मैं Superman हूँ, मैं उड़ सकता हूँ. You have to work with your biology. So my wife tells me sometimes that don't make plans for versions of you that don't exist.
Wow.
Okay.
Wow. We need to have your wife on the podcast
Dude,
next.
It is such a brutal thing because sometimes I tell her that मैं कल से dieting करने वाला हूँ. And she has seen me, okay? Like she's seen me go through this. She's like, and I'll say, okay, I'll fast tomorrow. Like, don't do that. If you've not been able to do that till now, don't make plans for a version of you that doesn't exist. Make plans for this version, like who you are. Do something that you are capable of. And I found that really insightful because you have to work within your biology.
Okay.
तुम्हारा डोपामिन सेंसिटिविटी कितना है, तुम्हारा HRV कितना है, तुम्हें उस वर्जन के लिए प्लान करना है. Which is so sensible, which is so intuitive when it comes to the gym. Like if I go to the gym, there's somebody there lifting 300 kilos. I won't lift 300 kilos. Like I know my limit is what, 30, 40, whatever. But somehow when it comes to mental achievements, we think हम कुछ भी कर सकते हैं. Which is a scam. It's not true. तुम कुछ भी कर सकते हैं after you reach there. ये जो hustle culture है ना, positive mindset वाला, बहुत बड़ा scam है. It's literally telling people कि तुम gym जाके कोई भी weight उठा रहे. It's not a mindset thing, dude. Like you have to get there. तुम अभी तक gym नहीं गए हो. That's just why people are breaking their backs.
That's true.
Yeah, no? Like resilience is a learned thing. Your brain is just like any other muscle. You have to work at it, get there, keep pushing until you reach a point where you can do that task.
Also deal with the setbacks.
Yes.
I think one of the biggest things that happen in this journey, because your external voices are you can do anything and all of that.
Yeah.
So you're not prepared for the setback.
Yeah.
The setback comes and you're like, but I could do anything.
Whereas again in the gym, repeat until failure is a thing. It is such a
You have to
accepted thing that तुम 10 rep करो, 10 rep आराम से हो रहा है तो तुम 20 करो. Do till failure because that's how the muscle breaks and that's how you get hypertrophy.
Yeah.
But somehow with mental things,
Mental things.
failure is like अरे क्या मतलब how did you? अरे, no, sometimes you have to repeat till failure. How else will you know? Right? So you have to work with your biology and
So how do you go about that?
yes, so there are a few hacks, right? Like there are a few things that I think
Sorry, first would be, in my understanding, understanding your biology.
yes,
Getting a sense of who you are, where you are right now.
correct.
Where do you start with that? How do
you understand?
How do I get a sense of myself, which is rooted in reality?
Well, the first thing is to be brutally honest with yourself. Try out a few things. For example, how much is your attention span? So start reading a book or start writing something and just see. Put on a clock and see कि कितना time तुम देख सकते हो without scrolling or reaching out. At least know yourself.
मैं तो act of counting the seconds में ही distract हो जाऊंगा.
Yeah, but
Timer देख रहा था.
Timer देख
कितना
रहा,
हो गया,
हाँ,
कितना हो गया.
No, basically you should know where you are. Forget anybody else. Like you should know what your how
Are
much
there
you
any
can
medical
work.
tests for this?
I wouldn't call them medical. There are psychological tests.
Psychological.
Yeah. So there are scales for anxiety. There are scales for mood. There are scales for sleep. Unfortunately, these are all things that are mostly used for diseased patients. But I feel there is a shift happening because these things apply to everybody. So everyone should know the quality of their sleep. That's why I'm a big fan of tracking. I don't think people should track all the time, but I definitely feel that in a year, 15 days, 20 days, you should track. You should track your sleep. You should know how much you walk on average. 7,000 steps, 8,000 steps. You should know 1,000 steps. Very, very less. Right? Your body is not moving, that means. You should know. You should know where you are. You should know your blood tests. Nobody else is responsible. You should know तुम्हारा cholesterol कितना है. There's no lower age limit. Like if you are about 20, you should know your cholesterol limit. Right? So these are some things that I think should be universal. You should know your body. You should know your mind. And then you can start improving. अगर तुम्हारा sleep quality कम है, अगर तुम्हारा steps कम है, you can start doing that. But अगर baseline ही नहीं पता तो तुम क्या ही कर रहे हो?
Okay, so physiological maybe much easier to track with all the devices that we have. And mental, for example, you said attention. One would be, I would say, your temperament. For example, if you're short-tempered, high-tempered, that plays a big role in team sports, for example, or team activities like managing a team or stuff like that. So maybe get an idea about your, in general, temperament.
Yes, your own. Yeah. Which is why I think being in a good relationship really helps. Because there's no hiding in a good relationship. Right? Like all your flaws will come out and you will know कि देख मैं ऐसा हूँ and I'm working on it. That's all you want from each other as human beings in
Because
society.
you talk about each other's behavior so much.
Yes.
Because either you appreciate that or you have a problem with.
Yeah.
So you get a lot of sense of awareness.
Yeah,
too.
yeah. And
I
now
agree.
though, because everybody is half psychologist, like everybody's talking about attachment styles and avoiding.
Babe, I think you have detachment issues.
I mean, it has positives and negatives. Like
Right,
a bit
of
of insight is always good. You can always overanalyze it too much. But just having an idea कि देख ये मेरा issues है, मैं काम कर रहा हूँ इस पे, I'm getting better.
Okay.
That I feel really helps.
So once we've gotten a sense of where we are, I think we've more or less established that. What's next?
Next is actually figuring out what is highest ROI activities. So for me, do not aim to be perfect. There is no such thing. You can only try to get better and figure out what is that one thing that you can do that gives the highest returns. Usually it is fixing sleep in today's time. In general, whether it's a physical problem or a mental problem, fixing sleep does incredible benefit to everything downstream. तुम्हारा हर एक चीज better होता है. memory, attention, focus, emotional resilience, तुम्हारा सब कुछ
physical recoveries,
physical
everything,
recovery,
yeah.
everything improves with better sleep, and I think we are all chronically sleep deprived. Right.
So question here, a lot of people talk about this, that improve your sleep. How to actionably, like how to action on that? How if I have a very fucked up sleep pattern,
Yeah.
I am sleep deprived, I'm not sleeping well. From tomorrow onwards, what can I do to improve it?
So there are a few reasons why you are not sleeping. Your body is not able to go down that spiral of sleep. Sleep is like a staircase, right? Like your body has to climb down that staircase. So if it is too anxious, it will only climb down 2 steps, and it will not go all the way to the depth, which is where recovery really happens. So then you will sleep, but then थोड़ा भी आवाज आ गया तुम उठ गए, या तुम सो नहीं पा रहे हो, तुम नींद के अंदर नहीं जा पा रही हो, you're just lying in bed and then you start scrolling, which makes it even worse. So you have to understand, why are you not going down, and how many hours of sleep do you get. So this is only possible through tracking.
Yeah. It's gonna sound like an ad for tracking because both of us are wearing like tracking.
I know. I don't really want to insist that no, everybody should get one. But what I'm trying to say is, I hope society moves in a direction where people just become more self-aware about their own metrics. Do not keep a tracker on all the time. I'm not saying that. Just like getting a blood test done every 6 months, I think you should get a tracking done like once a year.
But also you can't fix what you can't track. You can't fix a problem that you can't
Bang
see.
on, yes.
Exactly.
Right? For example, I've been wearing this Ultra Human for around a month now,
Yeah.
and I thought my sleep is okay. But through the day I feel tired. I'm not, like, I'm a very active person. I do jiu-jitsu, I do run. मैं सब कुछ करता हूँ, whatever there is, right? But there are moments where I'm dead. मतलब middle of the day I'm dead. I can't walk, and I can't figure out. And I've been wearing this for a month now, and I find out every part of my sleep is fine. Just my restfulness is 50. Everything is 95. I'm getting the right hours and everything. And then there are insights as to why it's not. Restfulness is one aspect why it's not, because I'm sleeping too many cycles. Like मेरी 8 cycles होती है sleep में, but the time I'm spending in my REM or my deep is very less. So the time my muscles or my mind need to, like, they need, like at one stretch they'll need a lot of time.
Yeah.
But because I'm in general an anxious person, and also because of the job I'm in,
Yeah.
like my mind keeps going like this, like full rotation. So now I'm working on that.
Yeah.
So 3 hours before, 2 hours before the sleep, I want to like wind down a little.
Correct.
I want to do some things, drink chamomile tea, do my jazz.
Yes.
So I think that it's really helping me.
Yes.
It's actually really helping me.
It does, because ultimately it is a game of sympathetic and parasympathetic, as always. Everything is. Which is what I meant by, it sounds like an oversimplification. You think that such a complex problem will require a complex solution, but it doesn't.
It doesn't, yeah.
Right? It actually requires a easy solution as long as you can see it. So I agree with you. You can't fix what you can't see. Right? So one of the reasons why I'm very optimistic about the human condition is that we can finally see a lot of things. And in general, human beings are good at solving problems they see. वो जुगाड़ है अपने में. We will fix it. Once we see it, we'll fix it. But we also have a lot of denial. So we will try to not see it until it reaches till here.
Right.
So if you can just put it in front of someone, they will fix it.
And that's where tracking comes handy.
I have seen so many patients, they come to me with something else, migraine, okay? And I get their blood reports done. I get everybody's blood reports done if they've not done it in the last 1 year. And I will find that, अच्छा इनका liver enzyme थोड़ा बढ़ा हुआ है. They are eating too much carbs. It may not have anything to do with the disease, but I'll point it out. And I'll say, देखो ये है, तुम्हें कोई दवाई नहीं लेना है, but तुम्हें ये lifestyle change करना है, क्योंकि ये problem है. They can't look away. They see it कि हाँ ये number इतना होना चाहिए था, अभी इतना है. And they will make the change because now it's there.
सर आपकी प्रैक्टिस में ऐसा होता है कि if you don't prescribe a medicine, they don't take it seriously. They're like, lifestyle change से क्या होगा types.
Earlier I used to think so.
Yeah.
But I realized that it is all about the relationship you have with the patient. So if a patient does not trust the doctor enough, they will feel like पैसा वसूल करने के लिए मुझे ज़्यादा दवाई चाहिए. their interaction is the medicine. That means they don't value what you're saying.
Right.
But if they value what you are saying, the message you're giving, they will not want the medicine.
Because if it might seem like to people that if I'm paying so much and I'm
Yes.
spending money, I can't be getting a simple solution like कि तू सो नहीं रहा सही से.
Correct.
Like I need more complex कि क्या दिक्कत है, what do I take?
And it's very specific to some patients. Like everybody is different, right? So there are some patients who will be like, मुझे कम से कम दवाई दो. And some people are like, 4 ही है, but मुझे 10 problems है. So it
दवाई
might
agree.
be that 10 के 10 is because of one disease and they need only 2 medicines. But they will feel like, I have 10 different problems, so I need 10 different medicines. So it is about that communication. Ultimately, the patient has to go home happy. Otherwise, they don't get better. So you have to learn to communicate. So it actually gets easier the more senior you are.
So I have 2 questions for you,
Yeah.
both in very different directions. So like,
Yeah.
I'll start with the first one. One that just sleep wale problem thi. Can we get a few actionable things that people can do at home to improve their sleep?
Yeah. Absolutely. There are clear-cut things that people can do. I look at it as things that speed you up and things that slow you down. So sleep is slowing down, right? Sleep is like stopping a car. You're driving all day, you are parking the car. So you have to stop the car. You cannot just be at 100 kilometers an hour and then suddenly
Expect to.
completely stop in your parking spot. वो तो नहीं होगा, right? You'll end up crashing, which is why people say I have crashed.
Yeah, yeah.
Right? That doesn't work. A crash sleep is not a good sleep. You have to ease your way into a parking spot. आराम से रखो, off करो, निकल जाओ. That has to be the way. So stop doing things that speed you up. So anything that makes your sympathetic nervous system go up. So coffee is one. Anything that makes you anxious is one. So alcohol, interestingly, people think that it slows you down, but it actually increases your heart rate. तो तुम्हारा sympathetic nervous system ज़्यादा active है. So alcohol really ruins sleep. So people wake up in a very bad state because their sleep is
you,
not.
but at 4 a.m.
Yeah. So because I'm checking heart rate variability, I have noticed that if I have a drink, and because of that, it's interesting, right? Because you have a feedback, you can see it. You can't hide anymore. One drink and my heart rate variability drops by like 20 points.
Yeah.
And considering तुमने कितने मुश्किल से you've brought it up, my heart rate variability sometimes is 100 and I'm so happy.
Yeah.
And one drink and it's like 70 and like, oh shit, I don't want to drink now.
Yeah.
Because I can see it.
See its impact.
And it's an immediate result. I don't have to wait for 10 years for my liver to go wrong before I get the feedback. Otherwise, the
Extremely
feedback is 10 years.
Mm.
But now it is 5 hours. Makes all the difference.
Like also food is one of them, which
Yeah.
is I realized recently that जब भी मैं late खाना खा रहा हूँ, there's a metric called heart rate drop.
Yeah.
When in the night your heart rate is at its minimum.
Minimum, yeah.
And the later it comes in the night, the less recovery your mind and body does. Because the earlier you get your heart rate drop, your body is like, okay, everything's fine. Now you can just start the work that you need to do in your sleep. And when I eat late, it's सुबह 6-7 बजे हो रहा है when it's daylight is coming in, right? And your body is trying to start to wake up. So that's one of
So interesting. Absolutely. Which is again, I mean, there's a reason why our grandparents said कि भाई 6 बजे तक खाना
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 खा
खा
लो, जल्दी सो जाओ.
because it takes effort. Digestion takes effort. And you need a lot of blood circulation into the gut for digestion to happen. So if you can eat before and then move. So if you walk, digestion improves. So walking after dinner is a great way to then. So the things you avoid: coffee, stressful situations, alcohol, and the things that you do are things that the things that put you into parasympathetic. So number 1 is deep breathing. Right? Beautiful technique. 4 seconds in, 6 seconds out for 5 minutes puts you into parasympathetic. Warm showers puts you into parasympathetic. Stretching puts you into parasympathetic. And room temperature. Somewhere between 21 to 23, 20 to 23. सबका थोड़ा सा अलग होता है, but having a cooler, I know Not everybody could afford an AC or whatever, but at least you should know that around that temperature is good for your sleep.
Yeah.
Having full darkness in the room is good for your sleep. Silence is good for your sleep. So some of these things, if you can control,
What about white noise?
not recommended.
There's no research on
Not
it.
recommended. No, not necessary. I mean,
Because some people can only sleep in white noise.
sure,
So
like
it
you
makes
can.
them feel less anxious. Is
Right.
Something.
That's a trained thing. Like you train yourself to get into that space, but you don't need to invest in a white noise machine.
That's more like a ritual, I think, than.
Yeah, but you don't need to do that.
The second question, which is completely in the other direction, is that one of the problems that I have personally, don't at me any doctors, with the medical industry in general, is that if I go to see a certain kind of doctor, my diagnosis will root from their field of expertise, which I feel is injustice to me, because I don't like they're not going inside me and being like, ye kya ho raha hai? So they can only see what I tell them, and I tell them only based on my knowledge, which is very limited because I'm not a medical person, right? I don't understand my body medically. As far as I understand, you see things more holistically, or at least in a way, like we were talking that when someone comes to you with a migraine or something, you try to see ki kahan par liver, ye wo. So what do you think is the right approach? What do you think is an approach that helps solve the root cause of an issue or a disease or anything?
So availability bias is a problem because तुम्हारे brain में जो सबसे available diagnosis है, you will see that more often.
And the recent.
And the most recency
Recency
bias.
bias.
There was a joke that used to happen in MBBS. So there's a rare disease called brucellosis. Okay, it is a infection, and हम जब उसका chapter जब हम पढ़ते हैं, so invariably अगले एक हफ्ते में we see 2-3 brucellosis cases in the hospital. अभी तक 4 साल में एक भी नहीं देखा, but chapter पढ़ने के बाद 4 देखे.
Crazy.
Because you think कि this is brucellosis. It turns out to be TB. But you think that this is brucellosis because it looks like brucellosis. Because that's what you just read.
Just read, yeah.
Now, if you're a super specialist, right? तुमने पिछले 10 साल से एक ही organ देखा है, kidney या liver. You will see everything through the lens of that. Perfectly human. That's going to happen. Because you are sacrificing breadth for depth. Because there are certain core liver problems which require so much studying that somebody who's studying the whole body will not know it in that depth. Which is why you need a generalist. You need like an MD physician who is looking at the whole body and then referring you to a specialist to solve one problem. कि मुझे liver में ये problem है, तुम इस doctor के पास जाओ because he knows more about the liver than anybody else. But then he may not look at your ear. For example, right? That being said, every doctor who is trained well and who has a good experience knows that your whole body will affect every part. Your skin is connected to your breath, your kidney is connected to your brain, of course. So even if I, as a neurologist, and you are coming to me with a brain problem, I know all the problems that can happen in your liver, your kidney, your heart that will affect the brain. So while my core reason for treating you is to make your brain better, if the only way I can make your brain better is by treating your heart, I will treat your heart. Because ultimately I want to make you better. It doesn't matter what specialty your problem is because मेरा काम है तुम्हें ठीक करना. So any well-trained doctor will know the whole body. Even a dermatologist will know kidney, liver, heart because there are kidney problems that affect the skin. So the only way they can solve the skin problem is by treating the kidney problem.
Right.
And if it is too deep, they will say go to a kidney doctor to treat this problem. So you have a trainer, you have somebody teaching you.
There's a academy here.
Crazy.
So I go there.
Crazy. How is it?
Best thing to happen to me.
Yeah.
One of the best.
Yeah, you'd recommend.
Like you will understand it like in a crazy way because you're in such a fight or flight situation.
Yeah.
If ever there's a place you want to stretch your HRV, you're in front of someone who wants to choke you out.
Yeah.
Who actually wants to like break your arm or do something, right? So that's all jiu-jitsu, choking, breaking a bone or a joint or something like that, right?
So fun.
So you're there and once you're in like a chokehold, the idea is that you need to be calm enough to get out of it.
Yeah.
That's the whole idea of jiu-jitsu, right? You want to be calm enough to be in a bad position and get out of it and submit the other person.
Interesting.
And so you have to like lower your. So one of the biggest things is that the coach says that you have to just focus on your breath. When you're like someone's choking, you have to focus on your breath, and you have to understand body alignment.
Yeah.
You need to align your body in a certain way and all of that. It's like mind chess. If you like chess, it'll be just so
interesting.
enjoyable.
Because this is sort of how I describe scuba diving as well. It's very, very interesting. Because here, of course, you are fighting against another human person.
Right.
In diving, you're fighting elements. So you're 30, 40 meters underwater. And if something goes wrong, like pani andar aa gaya, mask mein, whatever, and water goes into your lungs, the first instinct is to panic. But if you panic, you are screwed. So as a diver, it is so important to learn how to be calm. Worse the situation, the calmer you have to be. And very important to understand how much air is in your lungs. Because even like 20 ml more and you are going up.
Crazy.
You have to exhale to come down. And how your body is, and everything about your body you have to know.
Crazy.
And if you are that deep, especially say if you're inside a ship or something, and you have to go through like this narrow window, you have to control your breath to that extent कि तुमने 5 ml हवा छोड़ा so that you come down a little bit and then you go in.
That's crazy.
So you get a lot of breath control through diving.
You've done
gone
into a ship and everything. How was that like?
Very recently, like in Egypt, 2 months ago. There's an SS Thistlegorm karke, there is a naval ship that was World War II wreck, 30 meters below, 4 levels. And you go in through the lowest level and then you keep swimming through the inside of the ship. And you see these old Harley Davidsons and these jeeps with rifles and machine guns and all inside the wreck, which was, World War II mein they bombed it. So it's still there.
Crazy.
And you have to go through these little cracks in the door, windows, and no light. So you have to use a torch. And you have to really, really control your breath, because in some of the places the rooms are teda. So you have to angle yourself in a different way. So you have to be really aware of where your body is. And I realized that you have to, I think every sport kind of teaches you something different about yourself. So in diving, it doesn't matter if there are 50 people around you. It's a game for one.
Right.
Like you in your head have to just focus on your breath and your movement and just go through it.
Crazy.
And at the same time, you have to constantly look around for any danger. And you have to look around to enjoy. Because you can't be so stuck in survival कि तुम कुछ देख नहीं रहे हो. So while you are doing all of this, you're also seeing कि अरे क्या मस्त coral है, अरे क्या मस्त fish है. There's a giant manta. Oh wow, so beautiful. At the same time, checking how much air you have. At the same time, checking if your buddy is okay. Are they in danger?
Right.
Constantly looking around, becoming aware. I find it so interesting. I think very similar to what
That
you're
is
saying.
I couldn't
Adding
have
to the
explained
list.
it better.
Adding to the list.
I couldn't have explained it better because I think it's high adversity, high reward kind of situation where because there is so much, you're not thinking inward, you're acting outward, and that inward thinking is only happening about like there's no bullshit thinking happening. It's like actual things that will affect my living or dying. And while you consciously also enjoy the reason why you were there.
Yes, I sometimes feel like the reason I like diving is because it's the one place where anxiety is justified.
Wow.
That is exactly what I told one of my friends कि जब तुम कर रहे हो किसी भी तरह की combat sport कर रहे हो तो सामने हो if your heart rate isn't going up, if you're not scared, if you're not doing all of that, something's wrong with you.
Yes.
You need to be checked.
Yes.
Yeah.
So you finally feel like, okay, here I am allowed to worry because it's a real problem.
And I think it's, again, it's one part of the day or week or month where you give attention to your anxiety and you give it respect.
Yes.
like, okay, respectfully, please work.
Yes.
From a very solution-oriented mindset also, you try to control your
Right.
everything, movement,
And these
breath.
skills are transferable. So you learn it in one place, but your body will then apply it in other places.
100%.
Right?
Yeah.
Like just like you do biceps curls in the gym, you come home and somebody tells you, "Arey, ye chair utha le." It's the same muscle, right? Like similarly, you learn emotional regulation at jiu-jitsu, at diving, any sport. At work, if your boss shouts at you, same systems apply. You will be able to calm down faster.
Yeah.
I think people should experience these things in these situations
Yeah.
so that their life gets better.
Also, you learn that what a detriment it would be to panic. Like, तुमको
Yes.
एकदम से पता चलता है कि if I'm panicking, for example, if you're strangled or something, right, in jiu-jitsu, and you start panicking, you start moving your feet, you start breathing heavy, all of a sudden you're out of breath, you can't move, your body can't move, literally can't move, right? And you understand, oh, this is not helping me, so you're just there, neuroplasticity, I need to rewire it right now or I will die.
Yes, yes.
Yeah.
Man, and every diver would have gone through this because you wear a mask which covers your nose, okay, and you're breathing through your mouth. Every diver would have experienced water going into the mask and into your nose. And through instinct, you'll breathe in. And water will go in. Universally, ये panic attack हर एक diver के साथ हुआ है. And the solution is breathe. Breathe through the panic, and the instructor will tell you to look at them. Like, I'm here, breathe, keep breathing, nothing will happen. And you have to rewire.
Rewire, yeah.
Your instinct is to come up. Let me come up to the surface.
Ho gaya mera.
Right? Ho gaya mera. But you are 18 meters, 20 meters below. If you come up suddenly, your lungs can
Explode,
suddenly expand. So you have to breathe. And that lesson, ki, acha, even if you're panicking, breathing and calming down is better for your survival. That is a lesson that you have to learn.
Yeah.
And you rightly put, like, I think every kind of sport teaches you something about your body. And also takes me back to our conversation that we were having. Somehow it feels all those rituals, etc., that were engraved in our community way, way before were something very similar to these. Like it was some kind of training, it was some kind of, simulation of an experience.
Yeah. Like a game.
Yeah, like a game.
Yeah. Basically, every child who's playing around with his friends in school, what are they doing? They're learning social skills through games. कि अच्छा कबड्डी खेल रहे हैं, right? कि मैं अटैक कर रहा हूँ, ये आ रहा है, मुझे भागना है. These are all lessons that you learn. So the more games you play, games are safe simulations to learn real life skills. Right? And you need to play. If imagine directly being thrown into the war without having any games to practice on, that's terrible. So you have to play games to get better and better, and then hopefully when real life comes, you survive.
Yeah.
Which is a question that I think is also one of the most interesting part of our conversations, is that how do you inculcate games in your life that help you progress in the way you want to, and in the direction you want to? When we talk about gamification of tasks that are essential in order for you to reach a point where you want to. So how do you gamify that? And is there benefit to it?
Benefit to huge hai, because games is the way that your brain learns something. So if I have to simplify this, I would say there are 2 points to making something a game. Number one is identify cost of failure. ठीक है? So the fear is that if I fail, I die. And die permanently. So in a video game, you play, you die, you respawn.
Okay.
And then you play again, you die, respawn. So until you get better, and then you cross that level. So what is the cost of death? Or what is the cost of failure? First, identify it. There are some things where cost of failure is too high.
Yes.
Like bungee jumping.
Yeah.
Right? You can't trial and error नहीं कर सकते bungee jumping के साथ.
One try.
One try. So please only do bungee jumping in a place which has 100% success rate.
Yeah.
Because the cost of failure is too high. Like skydiving, you can't do that, mess around. So identify cost of failure. Make it very clear to yourself कि भाई worst case क्या है? Fail हुआ तो क्या? If cost of failure is not permanent death, then you have to ask how many failures can you take. If it is 0, then you will not grow. Because वो हो ही नहीं सकता. You will not achieve perfection in one go. If cost of failure is manageable, then you will have more tries.
Right.
Right? So it's so interesting that successful people get to try more. And that is privilege. Privilege is when you have more attempts. So a poor person may not have many attempts. So cost of failure is high. Somebody born in a rich family can keep trying because they simply get more attempts. They have enough resources for more attempts. And the more attempts you get, the more your brain learns and then you get better. So, sabka alag hai. You have to figure out what is your cost of failure. Right? That is number one. Second is difficulty level. So every game has a difficulty level. If you are constantly failing, तुमने 5 attempt मारा, 5 बार तुम fail हुए, you are playing the game at too high a difficulty level.
Absolutely.
And this is true for everybody. Everybody has a difficulty level that is too high at one particular task, right? So if I try to juggle balls right now, and I'm trying to juggle 5 balls, I will fail in the next 10 attempts because I've never done it before, which means I have to now do it with 4 or 3 or 2 or 1. At some level, the difficulty level will fall enough that I can succeed. And then when I succeed, and that's what we were saying, right? An ideal failure rate is 1 out of 4 times or 1 out of 5, depending on your resilience. So if you are very resilient, you can even have a failure rate of 1 in 2. But तुम्हें बुरा नहीं लगना चाहिए. अगर तुम्हें बुरा लग रहा है, then say कि मेरा failure rate is 1 in 5. If you're very touchy, then 1 in 10. But that means you're not going to grow much. So if your failure rate is 1 in 4, like 1 out of 4 attempts you fail, that is a good failure rate, which means you will grow. So right now I can juggle 3 balls and I can juggle it for like 10 tries before they fall. So I will keep on doing it until I have a 100% success rate, and then I'll add a 4th ball.
Increase.
And then 100% it will start falling again. So that's how you keep changing. That is gamification. This is gamification in a nutshell.
Yes.
Cost of failure and difficulty level.
Okay. And what about the setbacks in the game? How do you deal with that?
Setbacks are failures, right? In a way.
Yeah. So those failures or those setbacks,
Yeah.
how do you deal with that? Because what happens is that you starting mein you grow. Like you grow ekdam se and you're like, whoa, things are fun.
Amazing.
You know, you have all of that.
Correct.
And you try to increase the difficulty.
Yeah.
And maybe that's also fine. You're dealing with that difficulty. And then you go one level up. Yeah. And that's where you've hit your, or you think you've hit your potential. And then you're disgruntled and you're like, hatasha ho gayi tumhe and everything ho gayi.
Threshold aa jata hai jo.
Yeah. How do you get past that threshold?
Yeah. So the commonest problem is we think that the skill sets that got you from level 1 to 10 will get you from level 10 to 100. It's not going to happen. This happens to every high achieving school student. School में तुम first आते थे, फिर तुम college पहुंच गए, या you join a good company. Everybody there is a school topper. Suddenly you have gone from topper to average or even below average. तुम्हारा identity crisis हो गया कि भाई यहाँ पे कोई भाव नहीं दे रहा है. Because a different set of skills are required. You have to start from scratch again to get to that next level. So if you think that you've already reached, then that's a fixed mindset. Then you feel like whatever skill sets I've accumulated till now should help me get through for the rest of my life. Then you're stuck. If you think that I need more skills, then you're back in the game. And then the same things apply that applied before. The reason that setbacks stop people is because they think that they don't need to get more skills.
And I also read somewhere about similar thing that you were saying कि जब इतना difficulty level में gap आ जाता है suddenly that one level above is so difficult from where I am, this is where the need for a coach/mentor comes in. This is exactly where you need external help, where people will help you identify why the gap is so high and how to fill that gap.
Yeah.
Happens with businesses
also.
Right.
Absolutely. I think it's so difficult to innovate completely original stuff. Like don't reinvent the wheel, right? So everybody needs a mentor, somebody that they can speak to, and everyone needs a hero. Someone ideal in their mind, in their field, someone they can look up to and think कि ये बनना है मुझे. That will help your journey much more rather than saying कि मैं completely original करेगा. वो तो नहीं होता. You have to follow someone and then the originality will come because you are bringing in your own thing. But if you are trying to become a completely new version of something that never existed, then that means that you have no measure of comparison metric. It's very difficult. So find yourself a hero and find a mentor. It's not easy, but if you can find a mentor in that field, somebody who's gone through it maybe 5-10 years before you did, life becomes so much better.
Sid, can you help me with applying this gamification mindset on small things in life or big things in life? Give me a few examples that people can just take as a blueprint that, okay, if this is the kind of thing that I want to accomplish, this is the kind of gamification I can do.
Yeah.
A framework of sorts.
A framework, yeah, absolutely. I think the reason people struggle is because they confuse dreams and objectives. They always go for dreams. Like, मुझे ये बनना है, मुझे ये करना है. That is a emotional thing. मुझे fit बनना है, I want to become good looking or I want to become rich. These are dreams. You cannot achieve dreams.
Then abstract.
What are you achieving? It is a state of mind. So first step in gamification is to convert dreams to objectives. Like an objective has to be specific and it has to be measurable. कुछ तो measure होना चाहिए. It cannot be vague like मैं खुश रहूँगा. What does that mean? Right? It's a state of mind. But if you say that, no, I'll walk 10,000 steps a day, or I will read 10 pages a day, or something that can be measured. I will call my dad every day. That might make me happy, but the measurable thing is the act.
Like a tangible,
It
measurable.
has to be tangible. You cannot play a game if the outcome is not defined. तुम क्या कर रहे हो? What are you playing for? What are the rules? The outcome has to be defined. यही पे आधा problem solve होता है. I feel that most people are living through dreams. There's a rough sense कि मुझे ये बनना है, मुझे इसके जैसा बनना है, मुझे शाहरुख खान जैसा बनना है. What is that? You try to cut it down into tangibles that, okay, what did Shahrukh Khan do? All right, he went to 10 auditions a month. Sure, tangible. Do that. Right? So once you make sort of the goalpost in game terms, you have a goalpost. Then you can start doing the 1 out of 4 failure thing. So that will be step 2. And step 3 is recovery. So you're playing the game, but now every footballer knows how important, or every athlete knows how important rest is. So you focus on that. So community, sleep, diet, exercise, all of that stuff helps you play better. So I think these 3 broad steps should be there. इतना किया तो भी काफी यार हो जाता है.
Wow, what a way to end.
ठीक है यार.
Crazy.
I think
Loved the conversation.
Yeah, I think we have a lot to think upon.
Oh man, I mean,
Yeah.
in a conversation we touched upon Bhagavad Gita and then all the way to where all we went, like through HRV
Everywhere.
and variables.
Genetically हमारी फटी हुई है.
Genetically
My
हमारी-
byline of the episode.
Yes, we are scared monkeys. Yes. No, it's been great. I'm so glad we got to do this.
Thank you so much.
Cheers.
Hope you had
Absolutely.
fun.
मजा आ गया.
मजा
Thank
आ
you so
गया.
much.
Thank you.